Hey crafty friends, if you have any leftover Easter egg dye tablets or even food coloring, this is the perfect way to use them up. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I use these dye tablets to hand dye paper and create a beautiful, soft effect. Then I'll show you how I use those same papers to make these fun, interactive pinwheel cards. So let's get started. For this project, you're going to need some Easter egg die kits. Now that Easter is over, you can usually find these at really great discounted prices, so it's a good time to scoop them up. The ones I'm using here are from the Spritz line at Target. I'm using a combination of the neon and classic die kits. I'm also using these squirt bottles from Dollar Tree. I'm going to fill my squirt bottles with water, add in the dye tablets, and let them dissolve. I line them up in rainbow order, and just to make sure they don't fall over all over my table, I use those little Easter egg buckets that come with the die kit, and I just put my bottles right in there in the same colorways so I don't get some of the colors confused. So this part is super easy. Now I'm going to take each color and add it onto my silicone mat. I do recommend using a silicone mat or something that has a slick surface so that it's easy cleanup for you. Now in terms of the color order or design, it can be random or intentional, it can be patterned or splattered or more controlled. Just get creative, let the color flow wherever it wants to go. I never knew how each paper was going to turn out, and that's part of the fun, the element of surprise. So once you have your die on your mat, you're going to take your paper and lay it right on top of the color. Lift it up and look at those swirls. Now, if the color pools in one area or corner, you can just tap off the excess and then lay it flat to dry. I'm going to keep going, adding colors, blending them together, and creating different looks. There's really no wrong way to do this. If you can add color down on a mat, you can do this project. These dies create such a fun, soft watercolor effect, and it's very budget friendly. So I was doing all of these on A2 size paper, so I decided to do a larger scale. So I took some of my 12 by 12 white cardstock and applied the same technique, adding all the colors of the rainbow, but on a larger scale. And I was so amazed at how it turned out. This one and the next paper to come ended up being my two favorites from the whole collection. It reminds me so much of swirled sherbet or the Flintstone push-up pops I had as a little kid. It's just soft, colorful, and perfect for a summer layout. These two are my favorite. Now, all of my papers have had a chance to dry. They actually dry pretty quickly, but I like to let things dry overnight just to make sure everything is fully dry. And I just love how each one turned out. I made both the 12 by 12 and the A2 sizes, and every single piece is unique. I even dyed the front and back of my paper pad because I ran out of my A2 size paper and I do not like wasting. There was still really good white paper space on the other side of the text, and I decided to use it. So these two, like I said, are my absolute favorites. They make me so happy to look at it. Now we're going to create a card using these gorgeous papers, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm using this pinwheel die set from Echo Park from their Sunny Days Ahead collection. I have this small obsession with pinwheels, so I thought it would be fun to create a bright, playful, birthday-style card using pinwheels. I die cut the pinwheel base using my die papers, and to back each side, so it has a pattern side, I'm using coordinating papers from the Simple Stories Fresh Air paper pad. Now this paper pad has a lot of great springtime colors and prints, but my favorite out of this whole collection is this chicken page. It is so cute. I also cut the background papers using the same pinwheel base, and once everything is die cut, I literally glue each piece backside to backside. So to create the pinwheel, you're working with essentially a square that has cuts from each corner toward the center. You're going to fold every other point inward. It doesn't matter where you start on the square as long as you alternate between the folds. So you're going to fold one corner down to create a 90-degree angle, skip the next point, fold the next, and repeat until you have 4 folded flaps with alternating points. I then glue down each folded flap using some adhesive to secure it. And this particular die set comes with a center circle that you can die cut a circle and use that as the finishing touch for your pinwheel, but I decided to use a colorful button instead and glue that down. To create this beautiful lace background, I die cut most of my A2 dyed papers using the Pink Fresh Studio Heritage lace dye. It has these intricate designs and works perfectly as a backdrop. And it just ties everything together because all of these papers were dyed using the same colors. So for the sentiment, I'm using the scrapbook.com Sunshiny Day stamp set and stamping Have a Sunshiny Day, which is so cute, in VersaFine Nocturne ink onto one of my dyed papers. Again, just keeping that cohesive effect. To make the pinwheel spin, I'm using these tiny nano spinners from Dress My Craft, and I mean they are tiny. I glue the spinner to the back of the pinwheel, let it dry, and then I attach that to the card front. I adhere the sentiment with foam tape. Now, if you're going to use foam tape, just be mindful of the height of the foam tape you use and where you position your sentiment because you don't want it to interfere with the pinwheel spinning. Now, for a finishing touch, I added some iridescent sequins in the top left corner, and that is it. This card was made primarily using the papers we dyed, and it's honestly one of my favorite cards I've ever made. And I've made a lot of cards, but this one just makes me happy. It feels so soft, delicate, and has a hint of summer. I hope you give this technique a try. It's really budget friendly, easy, non-toxic. You'll be amazed at how many unique papers you can create and how much it elevates your cards. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Take care, crafty friends. See you back here in my crafty corner soon.